Um, and
So if you're in our Zoom, you are a member or a bondholder, so thank you very much for that support. You'll have the opportunity later to come up with questions, and we'll bring you up on screen. So if you're not shy to be in front of the video in front of everybody, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll bring up your question and bring you up. And we're just about to launch the live that's on YouTube.
You'll have to accept. There we go. Yep. Oh, we have questions already.
We're gonna take questions probably about a half hour in, I think. We're gonna talk a little bit about some updates and some things we're seeing, and then we're gonna bring up questions. So hold tight for now.
Yeah. And Olivier, we're on YouTube? We're on YouTube live. So people on YouTube, if you can see us and hear us fine, let us know.
All right, I've got it by my side. It looks like we're on. So hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Sarah Amne, the CEO of the International Space Federation.
And I'm Nassim Haramein, Director of Research at ISF, International Space Federation. And I'm honored to be talking to you all. It's really good to connect with you guys, finally in a place where I work every day, so this is where I work every day, and over there where we write equations and we write physics, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about where it's at, and as well some of the difficulties that we have to overcome every day.
We're going to give you a little bit of behind the scenes, like what we experience, trying to launch these technologies and this science to the market. So thank you for everybody joining us live, and thank you also for those joining us with the replays in the future.
Yeah, and it's really important to understand that we're a small team, and we're doing the best we can with what we've got, and it's not obvious because we do a lot of things in parallel. And so please be indulgent with us, as well, we have, some issues because our website lately, in the last few days especially, I think has been attacked.
Just actually in the last couple hours. And that's one thing we want to talk about is some of the suppressing of science, some of the hurdles we're having to go through as we're trying to launch these new technologies. And our website getting attacked is a great example of that. An unfortunate example. And actually just about an hour before we went live, some of the areas of the site started misbehaving. So if they're misbehaving, just know our IT team is working on it.
Right.
Just try refreshing the page a few times or coming back and the next day.
And again, we're really sorry about that. A lot of it is out of our control. And so, we are overcoming large challenges. So thank you so much for your patience. It makes a big difference, and you guys being part of this makes a big difference. Of course, we wouldn't be able to do what we do if you weren't there. And I really believe that some of the stuff we're doing is critical for humanity, and we need you guys to be with us all the way. And know that if there's any issues, if there's problems with the sound, for instance, in the last live we did, there was a problem with the sound and all this. It's not because we don't want to. It's not because we're not good at what we do. It's because we don't really have a good IT team yet, because we are putting all the resources we have in research and development, and doing the best we can with the equipment we have.
Right. You don't want us putting money into AV. You want us putting it into R&D. So until we have bigger budgets, please bear with us. Be patient if the sound or the video is a little bit off.
We're really, really sorry. And we announced a tour lately. So, this is something that is really exciting for me too. I'm gonna get to go out of my lab, out of my cave. They're gonna let me out. So it's gonna be so fun because I can just unleash when I'm on the stage, and I have a lot of things to say. I have a lot of things to communicate, and we're gonna communicate some of them this way, but it's always different to be live. It's always different to be there on stage with you guys, to be in the same room, to be able to answer questions that way and all this. So please participate. Come and hang out with me for a few hours. It's going to be a whole day thing. And then it's going to be Nassim Uncensored, because when I'm on stage, I'm still censored because there's cameras and everything. So there's going to be a Nassim Uncensored that's going to happen every night at every location. So like there's going to be a day seminar and then a night event. And that night event is like we let loose and, see where we end up. All questions are allowed.
The questions get pretty crazy.
Hopefully all of them get answered. We'll see. But it gets pretty exciting. I call that talk story, which is an expression that comes from Hawaii, which is, it was the different like little meetings that kahunas or shamans, if you'd like, kahunas, Hawaiian kahunas would have with the community, where they would talk story, everybody was allowed to ask questions, talk about their experience and all this. And so it's really informal, and it's going to be limited, I think, to only like
it is 100 or less tickets
100
for
or
the
less.
evening event. So yeah, if you go to the website spacefed.com, you will see events, and you'll see different cities. So the first one is in Los Angeles in September, and that date is, let me get my notes here, September 14th in Los Angeles. And the next one is in France, November 2nd in Avignon. Excuse my French pronunciation, Pont de Gard. November 16th is in London. So, and then we have more sites being added as well.
Yeah, okay. We are moving into the part of if you go to our website, you'll see the locations. They just got nailed, so I don't know that we have all the information, but you'll see it on our website.
It's a great way to support us too. So not only get the live presentation and the optional talk story to add on, but it definitely supports our laboratory and research. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Of course. And it's not the way to that we are able to like finance the research. It really is how I get to connect with you guys, talk to you guys directly, and make a difference. So that's really kind of like the main goal of the operation. I will be as well with the ARC team and the research team at ISF at Burning Man. So, that'll be
It's part of the tour.
Part of the fun part of the tour. The whole thing is fun, but Burning Man is something different. And it will be so great if you're there. I think we're in the pamphlet with the schedule of the talks I'm going to give.
You have a few talks.
And so I will be excited to meet you there on the playa. We can talk hyperdimensional physics and, talk about what's important to you and the questions you may have and all this stuff directly out of really relaxed ambience at Burning Man. So that should be good.
Right, one giant talk story, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, hope to see you there. So that's an exciting announcement. Like Nassim said, he finally gets out of the lab, much of our team members too. So you can ask questions about where we are with the technology. We can get into a little more depth than we're able to on these lives. So with that, I know we have a lot of people joining us, watching live or with the replay that don't know who we are, as an organization and know your history. So I'd like to get a little bit into that, like where we came from. What is ISF, International Space Federation? Now, a lot of you are familiar with us, but for those who aren't, International Space Federation, that's a mouthful. That sounds pretty sci-fi, but it's built on the shoulders of about 20 years of organizations that came before us that Nassim Haramein and his team helped establish. Resonance Science Foundation really worked on education and theoretical research. Taurus Tech was the R&D facility, Art Crystal, and what we did with ISF is we brought them all under one roof and moved to Europe. So we are now headquartered in Geneva, which is a very stable, neutral country for this kind of technology to be launched. We also have a laboratory in France where we're sitting now, not far from Geneva, where we work with a brilliant team of scientists and engineers. The talent here is really top-notch, which is one of the reasons why we came here. And so it's really nice to finally be in Europe. It was quite a feat. We moved about a year ago now, and still it was so difficult to reset the lab, to pack everything up. But we finally made it. We're settled in. We're rolling along. Things are moving along nicely. We're actually in the lab where the engineers work right now. To the side is the physics room. It's covered in equations where Nassim with Dr. Olivier Alaral and Dr. Séverine Gourmand-Pré, William Brown, our biophysicist, Inez, are working on equations, working on the education modules, which are soon to be announced. So you're getting to see live from where we work every day.
And I'm so excited about the biophysics right now. I'm starting on the biophysics paper, which I think a lot of people, especially in the layman crowd, has been waiting for, so we're starting collaboration with really amazing other physicists, biophysicists, and it's really exciting. We're working on scaling the pulse, the fundamental pulse of the structure of space-time at the quantum level up to the biological scale. And we're advancing very quickly in doing it because we have the physics worked out. So it's looking really good. And, it's interesting because we're talking to other biophysicists around the world that are working on, how does biology come to emerge from this mess of particles, in the universe, and how does it self-cohere and all this, and independently they're finding that there must be some fundamental pulse at the bases, at a deep level, that's producing all the organization, like a fundamental, something is talking to the molecule, for the biology to emerge, and for eventually consciousness to emerge, and we're seeing those mechanics link directly. They did this independently, but directly into what we're doing at the quantum level and at the vacuum fluctuation level, showing that the pulse is emerging from there. And it's producing the atomic structure, as we demonstrated in our last paper, and the forces, but as well the biological organization, and eventually, most likely, the nature of consciousness, because we're seeing the mechanism straight into the brain and the neurons structures and so on. And so, even Casimir force at the brain level and so on. And so we're seeing this link up. And so I'm really excited. Sorry, Sarah, I just got excited about that.
No, please. We're going to leave the technical side to him. The administration side on me is kind of explain how we're implementing, what the business side of things looks like. So we're actually focusing on three main technologies here. There's the biotech, as Nassim was just talking about, gravity control, and energy production from quantum vacuum fluctuations of space. And all this emerges from the physics that Nassim and his team of physicists have written. It's a direct roadmap, these physics, to these new technologies. And so it's the same concept that allows biophysics to emerge, as well as the gravity control and energy production. So it's really technologies that are going to change the paradigm of humanity. It's a whole new level. It's not based on electromagnetism like our appliances and electronics of today. It's a brand new source of energy. And imagine what that's going to look like to have abundant, free energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations of space.
Yeah, and Sarah and most people would name it a brand new source of energy. I'd like to be a little more precise. That source of energy has been there all along. It's powering the universe,
Sure.
right? It's a brand new...
For humans to tap it.
Yeah, it's a brand new thing for humans to tap it. And
in modern times.
Even I would have to moderate that and say it's a brand new place for human to tap it technologically. As I was just discussing, there's evidence that we are tapping it biologically already, that biology is part of this pulse of energy. So I just want to be profound in my description, meaning that like I want to be precise in my description because people tend to externalize the fact that we're going to tap into this energy. I want to make clear as well for like the scientists and the engineers that are listening that it's not voodoo tapping in this source of energy. We already do. So like when you see on the net that like 0-point energy or quantum vacuum fluctuation cannot be tapped into, this is an old story that people have been like propagating for years that has to do with a certain agenda. And I want to make clear, like it's already been tapped into, and I'm not even just talking about like crazy inventors in a garage or even Tesla. I'm talking about mainstream science has tapped into the 0-point energy. It's called the Casimir force, the Casimir effect. So, when you get two plates close enough together, you eliminate enough of the vibration of the 0-point energy in between so that the force on the outside pushes the plate together. And so that's how we confirm that it really is there, because it was something that was predicted by the equation of Max Planck's at the beginning in the first equations of quantum mechanics. And so it's not like some really crazy thing that some inventor came up with or some physicist came up with. It's a fundamental thing that is in the basis of quantum mechanics and that you cannot get rid of. If you read our latest paper, we go through this. We show that it's mathematically inconsistent to get rid of it. And then, that like so the Casimir effect was predicted in 1947 till 1997 before we could get two plates close enough together to confirm it. And then it was confirmed, it was repeated, it's been repeated all around the world. At this point, it's accepted that you do get a force. Now, it's a very, very teeny force that you get, but it's a force. And so it's extracting a little bit of energy from the vacuum. And the reason why it's a very, very teeny force is because you're making a gradient in the structure of the quantum vacuum, which is billions of times smaller than the atom. So your plates have to be really, really close together, and it's not a really efficient way to make a gradient. I assure you there's better ways to make a gradient in the structure of the vacuum. And so this like literally proves that you can extract energy from it. Eventually, they oscillated the plates very fast, and that's called the dynamical Casimir effect. And they got photons to emerge from the structure of the vacuum, from the supposed empty space. And so, it's no longer appropriate, and I'm saying that to all the physicists listening or engineers, it's no longer appropriate to say that the 0-point energy cannot be tapped into. It can be coherent, and the equations we wrote in the last paper, we show that actually the structure of the atom is a coherent behavior of the 0-point energy, that the atomic structure, all of your reality emerge from that field. Already it has modes of coherence due to angular momentum. And so I really encourage you, like if you talk about this to other physicists or engineers and they tell you, you can't, yes, it's there, we know it's there, but you can't extract energy. Well, tell them it's too late. It's been done, and it's been done by the mainstream. It's called the Casimir effect.
The paper he's referring to, many of you have already seen it or are aware of it. It's called The Origin of Mass and the Nature of Gravity. It was published in preprint on the Zenodo server at CERN last October, and we just hit a huge milestone last week, 50,000 downloads. So, of course, many of you are already aware of it and have seen it, and with all the 50,000 people reviewing it, no reports of errors. It is rigorous, it is analytical, and it walks you through the basis of the unified physics, the ZPE that Nassim is speaking of.
Right, and with that announcement on social media, you might see it. It's like a round thing that's spinning that says 50,000 downloads. If you look carefully, in the comments, we link to one of the reviews we got from, and we're pretty excited about that review because it comes from, world expert in quantum vacuum fluctuation, somebody that was a fellow at Los Alamos National Laboratories, somebody that wrote the book that's utilized in universities all around the world on quantum vacuum fluctuation, on electromagnetic dynamics. And he wrote us a letter. He thought our paper was very interesting. In the emails that he wrote us the letter with, he told us he couldn't find any obvious mathematical errors and so on, which is important. There was some typos. We repaired those but this is really, really important. And that leads me to, people are going to ask, is this published anywhere? It's published on the preprint Zenodo server. That was, important for us to put it out that way. And then it's in peer review right now. I don't have many great things to say about peer review on planet Earth.
I think we need to enlighten them, what goes on behind the scenes in peer review, and also other censorships on science. There's really a suppression of science, and I think peer review is a great example of that.
I have not been fully completely transparent about what I've experienced in terms of censoring and peer review throughout the years. And it's continuing, it's almost intensifying. And the reason is that I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy. I don't want to get involved with that. I don't like to sound like I'm complaining and all this. But it's been a lot. And I think since, the last episodes of the last few years with the pandemic, I think people have realized how much censor occurs in science. People might not be aware of how much censoring occurs in physics, and how much I have been attacked throughout the years, and really kind of vicious way of trying to discredit me and so on.
Not just you, other physicists too that have anything out of the box. And
I
think this isn't a complaining, it's really opening people's eyes to the censorship that's been going on, so we can be more aware and we can work together to overcome these hurdles.
Yeah, it's really critical that people realize, and the falsities that are being said about my work, about my years of research, for instance, that I've not published in peer-reviewed journal, that's incorrect, completely incorrect. Actually, I picked specifically for the holographic mass solution paper, I picked in 2012, I picked specifically a journal that publishes its peer reviews so that it actually showed what the peer reviewers were saying, what was my rebuttal, and why the paper was eventually published. And so you can actually go to their website and download the peer review comments and see that the paper was peer reviewed. So it would be good if they stopped saying goofy stuff. And what happens is that bloggers take this and they just repeat it, and nobody goes and actually verify if it's correct. So you can go to our website, for instance, go to my publications, And we actually put a link on that paper so you can actually go and see the peer review. In the other cases, the peer review is behind closed doors, so we can't publish it, we can't put it on there, but it's not because it's not being peer reviewed. It has been peer reviewed, and the paper that we just released on Zenodo, which is the CERN preprint server, is in current state of being peer reviewed. It's quite the journey. We'll get there, hopefully, very soon.
Right, right. Well, I think it's important. I want, for those that aren't familiar with you and your background, and maybe that don't know enough about it, to understand how you got to where you are today and why you might be facing these hurdles, you and some of these other physicists that are more outside the box. So Nassim is autodidact, similar to Einstein, Heaviside. There's many others.
Green,
yeah.
Faraday. There's a nice list if you look up list of autodidacts in science, I think.
Michael Faraday, many, many. And so thank goodness for that, because the university system has you focus on just one discipline. And it's what's already accepted. When you self-study, you can pick a variety, you can spread your knowledge wide, as Nassim did. And so Nassim, let me back up. Let's back up to Geneva 1962.
Oh my God.
I think it's important that people know your history.
It was a rough day for me.
It was. So
to go through this dark channel with light at the end.
I think it's important to know your history from the very beginning to understand where you are today and how we got to where we are today and how you're able to work on the physics you were. And so Geneva 1962, Sim was born. And for the first 3 years of his life, he was in Geneva until his father moved to Montreal. His father was an academic, getting his PhD at the University of Geneva. So came from a very academic family, studied under the world-renowned Jean Piaget.
Yeah, Jean Piaget, yes.
Piaget, who was, the forefather of child psychology, very famous.
Yeah, lucky me. I was the perfect guinea pig.
So his father moved to Geneva, became the director of his own department at the University of Geneva in child psychology. And Nassim does not fit into the typical box. So probably a few frustrations, with your father trying to...
Along the way, just a few. We got along at the end.
You did.
Yes.
So Nassim, he's, as a different kind of child, was always questioning the teachers. Why are we here? Who are we? What is this? How does this get here? And the teachers did not have answers. And you're probably getting more and more frustrated as a child having these questions unanswered. And
it was hard. Yeah. It was hard. We had moved to Canada. In Canada at the time, most public schools were Christian schools, and there was quite a bit of levels of racism and bullying. There was all kinds of abuse that were going on in Canada with people with dark skin, mostly Indigenous people. And I kind of caught into that as well. Right. So I was abused in many ways. And it was really, really tough. It was a really tough childhood. But I was really excited about understanding the nature of reality.
Right. So needless to say, forget the school system. You went off on your own. And he has studied more physics than any Ivy League student would ever be asked to study. He spent 5 or 6, but the first 5 or 6 years were intense. You'd study probably 20 hours a day. You weren't sleeping a lot back then.
No, I wasn't.
You didn't need to.
Yeah.
He'd climb in the morning, climb in the evening, study physics in between. So he'd go to the library, check out all the thick physics books across the wide range of disciplines,
there was no
print out
internet.
the latest journals.
Yeah, there was no internet at the time. It wasn't like you could do a search on Google.
Right.
Yeah, so you had to go to the libraries and find the books, find the papers. And I would just stay there. Like, I would use the libraries of the universities, and I would just stay there for months, just gathering material. And then I would just pile it into my van until my van was like no longer able to take any more papers. And I would take off to the mountains or to the desert where I was climbing Joshua Tree, or in the mountains of Canada and so on. And I would just study like a mad person.
And it wasn't just physics. It was, cosmology, mathematics, geometry, biology, anthropology.
Anthropology, ancient civilization, symbology. I studied everything I could, and the intent was just I wanted to know. I wanted to know. It wasn't like I want to go and like change the world, do something like this is just, it was for me. It was so important for me to know, to understand. So that's, you know, that was the first 5 years. It was very, very intense. Probably some of the best years of my life, though. I would say it was really remarkable. I felt so inspired.
Yeah, and I think being in nature also led you to observing the natural world. And so it's not just reading the textbook, it's looking at the natual formations, looking at what happens when you drop a rock off a bridge in the water and how it ripples, looking at under the stars and being in nature, which helped you to solve one of the most difficult problems in physics, unification theory, which is, you know, obviously the unification of general relativity and quantum mechanics. Bridging the large with the small.
Yeah, I think we jumped a section, but we don't want to do my whole life story. But I mean, I did become one of the top ski instructor in Canada at the time.
Right,
you know, one of the top in the world, and like I just, you know, I had a very active life in nature. I was a mountain guide. You know, I did all kinds of things. So I was very, very intensely studying nature all through those years, and it really led me to like a different view of but because when you spend a lot of time in nature, you realize two things. One, everything is interdependent, so you see the unity of things. You see everything is interdependent, and two, everything has some fundamental structure of relationship with each other. You can see structure everywhere, whether it's in flowers, trees, like, you know, the way flowers, you know, bloom and how they, you know, the cycles, and you start to see patterns and structure and geometry everywhere. And you realize, oh, so the math we're writing is the math describing the geometry, but the geometry is fundamental. And that's an error that happened in modern physics, is that they got away from the physics part, the real physics, like the real things you can touch, to more mathematical and like conceptual notions. And then they kind of, you know, to steal an expression from Sabine, they got lost in the math, right? And so, you know, and that's why, you know, since Einstein, you know, Planck, Dirac, there's not been huge discoveries in physics. There's not been huge transformation. Like, we're still burning fossil fuel out there. We're still burning fuel to like send rockets to try to travel in the solar system. There's very little that has happened after those golden years at the beginning of the 20th century.
Right, things like string theory, you know, distracted people for 4 decades, cost billions of dollars, and distracted all these brilliant minds, and it's just been like a chaos in physics that's gotten nowhere. They keep slamming particles against each other, becoming more and more confused.
Yes.
So there's been a few books about this. It's not really talked a lot about, but, you know, Sabine
there's more and more
Hausenfeld
physicists that are being vocal about it.
Right, and writing books. Sabine had the book, What's Going Wrong in Particle Physics, also Lost in Math, which you mentioned, Alexander Unzucker's book, Bankrupting Physics. There's another book, Physics in Crisis by Bruno Mansuli. So it's getting out there, but not enough. A lot of people, you know, me being the layman, me being from the business side, looks at these, you know, the brilliant minds and these fancy formulas and thinks, oh, they understand this, they know what it is. And little did I realize, they don't know what's behind the reason for the constants, like how they have the number they have. They don't know the formulas that lead the constants to have the number. And they have something called free parameters. If the equation doesn't work, they just fill in a number and then call themselves a genius, saying, oh, I solved it, I filled in a number. Do I have that right?
No, not quite.
Not quite.
But, you know, it's along that it's not really the researchers' fault. It's the structure of the academic structure, and how you can get funding, and how you gotta keep pedaling on the hamster wheel. You gotta keep publishing even if it's not really relevant. You got and people all the scientists are caught in this river, and it's not because there's not brilliant minds out there. You know, there's plenty of Einsteins out there. There's plenty of brilliant minds. I mean, people are brilliant. Like, you know, people do amazing things. Look on YouTube, you'll see people doing like jumping off mountains and stuff like that. But like there's a structure that's really stopping and like impeding the advancements of science, and then there's private interests. There's interests that are wanting science to go in a very specific way.
Because they're funding the grants, and the universities need the grants to survive. So what happens is, students or the writers will apply for these grants, and the grants, they're usually in the box. They're whoever is supplying them, and that's how they get persuaded. And so the universities rely on these grants. They could be worth millions of dollars, and the grants have something called overhead, which goes to the university to pay for staffing and such. And so the person fulfilling the grants is, on a contract basis. And so they have to get the grant to maintain the job. The university needs the grant to pay the staff. And so it's this vicious cycle they get stuck in.
Right.
And so Sabine did a nice YouTube on this where she talks about getting stuck in the system. And she's very bold. I love her. She called it bullshit. She couldn't do the topics she wanted to write that would have innovated science, that would have progressed science.
She wrote bullshit papers for a while because she needed to get the grants. And
so she eventually got out of the system because it wasn't fulfilling. She wanted to expand science, to expand knowledge, and the system just wasn't built for that. And so that's one way that science, unfortunately, gets suppressed because the universities have to be a money-making machine.
To be able to do fundamental research, which is like even tougher because now you're doing fundamental physics, which is not necessarily directly related to like technological developments. She had to eventually get out and start doing YouTube channels to like be able to finance her own research. And that's great. I took a different route, trying to find investors and all this and like talking to you guys and going public in a different way than YouTube. But this is why, like, we have to get out of this hamster wheel. We're running out of time. Like we have to break through. And the only way we can break through is if you guys out there support us, and so we don't have to run like chickens, like
we're obviously not financed by special interests, by large corporations, by governments. That's the whole point. The technology we're launching has to be spread wide across all nations to all of humanity. We cannot have it centralized. So if we were financed, it would be centralized. That would not work with the system we're trying to do. So we need humanity to be involved.
I need you. We need you. And like, I'm kind of like done hiding, what goes on with me. I'm going to start becoming more transparent about all the difficulties. I mean, literally, we're just going to say somebody is like attacking our website every second day, it's just continuous. And then we have all these like crazy bloggers that, think they know physics, and 99% of them don't know a thing about physics.
A lot of them are intentional too, and I think we need to get into, as we're, kind of educating what goes on behind the scenes. We talked about, the university system. We talked about the peer review. There's a couple other ways it's broken too. One of them is censorship. And this isn't obvious, but as let's not put the wool in front of our eyes. Let's be fully exposed to what's going on and talk about that. I think a great example of censorship is what's going on with archive.org. And at Archive, it was originally founded in 1991 and managed by Lawrence Livermore Labs. And it's a preprint, similar to how we're on CERN's Zenodo. It's another preprint. So it's meant to give physicists, scientists a platform to share their science. It was taken over by Cornell University, and since then there's many physicists, even Nobel laureates, that are blacklisted from it. And for some reason, once your name is on the blacklist, you cannot get on that. Do you want to talk a little bit about your story in Archive?
Right. It was remarkable. From my first paper with Dr. Rauscher, which addressed torque and Coriolis forces in Einstein field equation, the origin of spin. I was not aware. I knew that it was touchy, but I was not aware that torsion field theory, as it was called at the time, the Russians were working on it feverishly, and they were making technology out of it and all this. I was not aware that it was, classified and so on, or that there was some issues with it. And torque and Coriolis effect in the Einstein field equation was like the source of torsion in space-time. So basically, as soon as I uploaded at the time, I think 2004, I uploaded my paper with Rauscher on the archive website, which is the preprint website. At the time, it was the only one. I mean, the internet was quite young, and you know, I had to get endorsed because it was the first paper I was putting there, so it had to be endorsed. It was endorsed within a few hours of me asking a bunch of physicists to endorse it. It got endorsed. It went up. Within 24 hours, was taken down. Was nowhere to be found. It was removed from their server, and you know, I had the misfortune to like call a physicist I knew inside the Los Alamos base, which is where the servers are, and ask if, you know, he could like check who had removed it, who had given the order to remove it. And he got in trouble. You know, I was not able to communicate with him again. And, you know, there was a whole press release that there was a, you know, security break at Los Alamos at the time, and that there was a problem because somebody had received a call on the inside of the base from an external source, and so on. And so I, you know, I've never talked about this. This is the first time I discussed this publicly, really.
I think it's important, though, that they know how it's being censored. I think this is really important.
And so that made it really difficult. Like, so right away, you know, they started to say, oh yeah, it can't even be published on archive, you know, not because, so you see, this is how they can stonewall you, you know, they make it almost impossible for you to be published, and then they say, you see, it can't even be published because it's wrong. Okay, so, you know, it really is like, it's a big problem. The paper had some issues, I admit. I mean, it was my first paper, you know, but I think it had a lot of valid points. You know, some of the work needed some more, you know, digging and some more cleaning up. But hey, Einstein published, I think when he tried to publish relativity, he had to like do like 4 different papers that had all kinds of issues before he got it right. But
that's science.
Yeah, that's science. Like, but my point is that like it became like a thing. Like, oh, you can slam Nassim. You know, Nassim. Whenever you hear his name, just slam him. And why is that? Because they've made an environment with all the people they send to like destroy my reputation. They made an environment in which other scientists that try to cite me, talk about me, and so on, get in trouble. So they don't want to get in trouble. They want their work to be published. They don't want to lose their grant. They don't want to lose their job, because some of them lost their job talking about me. And like, and so, you know, so what if I'm right, guys? Huh? What if I'm right? What if the proton is, you know, singularity, a little black hole? Last paper makes a pretty good case for it. You know, it's pretty solid, analytical all the way through, gives the correct mass for, you know, the Hawking radiation of such a thing, and so on, and the forces and everything. It's a really, really big open door to a whole new set of physics and understanding of the world. And I would bet, I bet my life on it. I've given my life to it. I can guarantee you it's correct. I guarantee you it's correct. It might take them 100 years over there to figure it out, but I guarantee you it's correct.
Say physics progresses one grave at a time, one funeral at a
well,
time.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we can break through this time.
Hey, 50,000 downloads. They're paying attention. They're going to get it.
Right.
The big guys might be scared to speak up. They're going to get it. But let's talk about, there's other ways of censorship too. Let's talk about Wikipedia.
Oh, Wikipedia is another thing.
So there's maybe the team. There's a great Cheryl Atkinson did a TEDx that talked about it. Starting at minute 4, maybe my team could share a link to this YouTube to wake you up on really what goes on at Wikipedia, because it is truly controlled and edited by special interests. And Nassim has experienced that firsthand.
Right. They actually started a whole organization in 2012, I believe. They called Rational Wiki, that use exactly the same interface as Wikipedia to mix everybody up. And, you know, it says horrible things about me.
Why don't you talk about why you're not on Wikipedia?
And the editors that are on Rational Wiki, which this, you know, attempt to destroy your reputation, are editors on Wikipedia as well. So when people, other people, and then eventually some colleagues try to put entry on Wikipedia about us and about me, you know, it would just get vandalized by these people, which have enough pull on Wikipedia to eventually pull my page off and block it so that it cannot have an entry and it cannot have a balanced opinion of my work. And, you know, that's not how it should be. We should be able to be, you know, recognized or
there's a whole story behind that. I got on Rational Wiki and I did some investigating. Anything having to do with free energy over unity, the kind of energy we're working on, gets smashed. It gets called pseudoscience. There's obviously special interest behind it, and we're actually legally looking behind the scenes and seeing that's exactly what's going on. If you type in free energy, it calls it, you know, it's by fringe inventors. It's pseudoscience. Free energy suppression, they say, is a conspiracy theory. And anybody like Nassim who's working on it, they call them crackpots. You know, they do the name calling. And there's obviously special interest behind it. But people, you know, again, get the wool off of your eyes. Look for those clues. When people are slammed, rather than, you know, saying, oh, it's science, let's look at this. Question it. Obviously, there's a special interest behind it. And you know, don't get confused about Rational Wiki, which is obviously fake, even Wikipedia.
You know, hopefully Wikipedia eventually is gonna, I don't think it necessarily comes directly from the direction of Wikipedia. I think there's like, you know, it's been invaded by, you know, special interest agent. The main contributor to the Rational Wiki page on me is, it says on his like description himself that, you know, he's an agent and so on. So it's like, and certainly all the people that, you know, I mean, there's horror stories. I'm not going to go into the horror stories that includes people literally losing their lives. But I've been witness to things that are horrifying. And I'm telling you, you guys, we cannot live in a world like this anymore. We have to get past this. We have to transcend this. And I'm going to stay alive, you know, long enough to get this type of capacity to the world. Like, it's critical. And Sarah, should not be called free energy anyway. It's not free. It comes from, yes, it comes from the vacuum fluctuation. It's not like some voodoo thing. And, you know, it's not even over unity. When we use over unity, it means that more comes out than what you put in. Yes, more comes out than what you put in, but what you're putting in is the vacuum fluctuation, which is a lot more than what's coming out. So even over unity is not quite right, to be precise. And so what I'm, you know, I'm just...
They just have to be aware of the censorship. Like even things like TED. You have a banner on your TED saying that there's a red flag burning. And when I looked into TED, they flag things as if it doesn't fit in the box, then they're going to flag it. And so it's just good to be aware that no matter what you're looking at, even something trusted like that, be very aware that there is censorship involved.
So just to shorten it, like, we are overcoming a lot.
We are.
And we need you to help us overcome all these things. And like, I'm starting to like say, okay, now I'm done. I'm done hiding. I'm done like not talking about this stuff. I'm done. You guys over there, check it out. I'm coming. You know, I'm not gonna just like continue to take it on the jaw, you know. I'm done, okay? So like I'm gonna start talking about what you guys do when, for instance, you know, famous journals are like literally ignoring my my application to to publishing and so on. Like I'm gonna start letting people know, letting the world know what goes on.
Exactly. And this goes far and wide too. There's, I was reading recently about the Invention Secrecy Act of 1951. There's been over 6,000 inventions that get stuffed by the special interests. There's a whole list of things that qualify for this. They say it's for security. This is the US, but it's also many countries have this thing where the government can snatch the invention and stuff it. This includes photovoltaic panels over 20% efficiency, all kinds of energy devices. So we're not the first laboratory to come out with energy that's from vacuum fluctuations, or whether it's mechanical, over unity is not the right word, but you understand. And the governments will often take them and smash them, and even worse, as Nassim was saying earlier, they disappear.
So, it is not the, it's not national security. I understand that there's inventions in the world that should be under national security. I mean, there is issues in the world currently. I think most of these issues could be resolved if there was not so many special interests in not having issues resolved. That's another thing. Is I'm gonna start being more clear about what I think about the so-called politics that goes on in this world, because it really doesn't have much to do with politics, had much more to do with special interests.
It does. That's actually the origination of that act I was talking about. Michael Prague invented this amazing carburetor that got over 200 miles a gallon. And so the oil prices plummeted. So it was actually the oil special interests that then went to the government, who saved them in 1951 by making this rule, because they knew if he could do it, others could do it too, and they did, and they disappeared.
Right. So this is it's not necessarily national security; it's financial security that is being protected. And I understand we don't want to crash the world economy. We don't. However, we're at the 11th hour of all this. I'm a reasonable person. I understand that this type of this type of disruptive technology has to come out into the world in an appropriate way and all this. However, science has to advance for humanity to survive. We have to get to the next level. And, since the academic structure is very difficult to advance and move forward with, we need you to make it happen. We just do. Like it's just the way it is.
Exactly. So now that you understand the reality of things, like it's complex enough to get this technology in the world, but these are the hurdles we're facing, and we just need you to understand that. It's going to take humanity coming together. There's way more of us than there are of the special interests. If we come together, we can prevail. This team, they know how to do it. What's going on behind us will give you so much hope if you could see it. Obviously we can't show you things. There's security reasons, obviously. But just know to have so much hope. And if we come together, we will be successful. I absolutely know we will. And so that's why we wanted to enlighten you. We didn't mean to be downers on this, but we want to give you a taste of reality, what we are dealing with every day. I have a front row seat to the kind of crazy censorship, to the slander they're putting on Nassim just to distract people from him. And it's not going to work, because I know that you know what the truth is. For those that have read the paper, you understand. Even for those of you that laymen that might not understand the physics, it hits you here. You know what we're talking about. So that's why we need your support too. That's why we have, let's talk about the technology in a moment. But first I want to talk about some ways that they can be involved and support us. We talked about the tour. We also have a bond, spacefed.com/invest. Maybe the team could put that in the chat, which gives all of you a chance to benefit from the future profits of this company by helping us out now. So help us, help the R&D department right now, and later that will come back to you in the form of profit sharing, up to 16% of the profits. For questions about that, you can email our team, participate@spacefed.com, with more questions about that, and they can tell you how to get involved. Because It's not helping us. It's helping humanity when you do this. This isn't to fund ISF. This is to help ISF bring this technology to the entire world. Help us get over all these hurdles that we're talking about by becoming involved. This is for humanity by humanity. It must be, and it's going to take you. And I think, I want to be a little blunt. Again, we're being very exposed here about how we are doing with that. Because I know people, they see the millions of followers on social media and they think, oh, we must be so well financed. We actually haven't had a large number of people participating in those. We have a webinar going at the same time where people can ask questions, and those people have paid into a membership, $20 a month, which helped us. Some of them have bought bonds, and we are so grateful to you. So many people are helping us.
Yeah.
But we need so many more.
Yeah.
Our bond investors were less than 200 people so far,
right,
of the millions that follow us.
And one of the issues is that it takes a lot because there's so many regulations.
Yeah, it's a security. And yeah, I want to address that too, because it is a security. It has to be, because it does give you a return on your investment, which lasts a lifetime, by the way. It's perpetual, meaning it never goes away. We might tokenize it someday and innovate it, but it will never go away. Or you can keep it as a bond. Just give you a little more information on that. But it is a security, which means you need to complete a KYC. There's a few steps in that. And another issue with it, because it is a security, is you must be accredited if you're in the United States and Canada and a couple other countries. It's much easier if you're in Europe. And so not everybody can be involved if they don't meet that criteria. But there is another way you can be involved to help, and that is to email us, again, at participate@spacefed.com. And we work with a foundation that can give you a tax-deductible donation in return for helping us. So if you have any questions about doing a donation, please reach out, participate@spacefed.com. If you aren't able to participate in the bond, or maybe you have the bond, but you also want to do a tax-deductible donation as well. And I mentioned the memberships briefly.
Yeah, and it's great. This is why actually we did the Zoom combination with the YouTube today, is so that the people that are members and that have bought bonds can ask questions directly. So maybe we should take some of the questions.
Yeah, let's do that.
Did we
I
go
do have
around?
some questions coming up.
Just to be clear with everybody, I am very joyful, happy person. I am not suicidal in any way, shape, or form. I will not throw myself off a balcony anytime soon. I'm, so anything that happens is because it wasn't me. All right?
You all heard
just so
that.
we're clear.
To
okay?
anybody here, we're very happy people. So if anything happens to it, nothing's going to happen to us. That's actually safety in numbers as well. As we are here presenting what we're doing to the world, there is safety in that. So.
And there's a lot of really amazing people that are inside the governmental agencies and all this that are actually, remarkable people that got involved because they wanted to, serve and be part of an amazing, security force and so on. And so it's nothing against those people. It's the people pulling the strings at the top that, are more of a problem. But hopefully some of these people are on their way out.
Exactly. Okay. So behind the scenes, we have William Brown that's feeding us some questions. Thank you, William. Looking off to the side because William is over there. And he's monitoring the Q&As for me, and also the Zoom, which we have going on in the background for our bond and membership holders. William, should we do a Zoom question and bring somebody up?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with that, and then I'll take some questions from the Q&A. Okay. We'll start with our Zoom members.
Okay.
First
question. We can take questions from the Zoom members, and then we're going to try to bring you on. So you can accept to turn on your camera or not. If you don't turn on your camera, we will hear your feed, hopefully. And you can ask your question.
Please do come on. We can have a fun dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Takes a moment for people to pop on. And,
okay. Is it happening?
Or should I take one from the Q&A first? Why that's loading up. Let me take one. Okay.
Oh, hi. Oh, we don't see
Katharina.
your video. We have to probably change the setting to
Very Bear with us, everyone.
The
We're
view up
trying
there
to get
has
fancy
to
here.
be put into gallery mode. Ah, there we go.
There she is.
Hi.
Hello, Professor Nassim. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Hello.
I am so happy to be here and I thank you very much. I will be very quick with my question. And also, I see you on September 14 in LA with 6 of my friends. So that's really cool. I have been with Resonance since 2021. It has been the most amazing thing for my scientific path since I quit university for the same reasons that Sarah has said. And I'm really looking forward if you have a possibility to offer some more selective courses so we can, provide and pay for it, but more scientific, because I'm very interested, and I know more people are, on learning with you, going through your journey and understand what's really science about. That we are all, I love module 1 from your class,
Worldview shift.
Excuse me?
The worldview shift
Yes,
module.
yes. That's the most amazing. And I also took your my first class with you was actually the Unified Science class for kids. That's when
Yes.
that was absolutely amazing. And then going through the whole journey, 2021, 2022, 2023, and right now with Professor Williams, Dr. Ines, and now with Dr. Cyprien and Dr. Olivier Helsing. For as a person who wants to continue science is so important, and I know I'm not the only one. It has been an amazing journey, amazing learning experience, and this is so important because that's how we share knowledge. Knowledge is not supposed to be for a hierarchical group or just to be hidden and not even used. This is a bit ridiculous. I think it's now time to imagine Pythagoras saying, "I will not give you my formula."
Yes. Yes, it's time for science to be for everybody, and it can be for everybody because it actually, the fundamental principles are very understandable, and the complexity of the equations, well, that you can take special course and get them. So to answer your question, I am putting a new thing together, except this time it's in the form of a book.
The first announcement we made on this, by the way.
Yeah, so this is a
exciting
first.
news.
This is a first for many things tonight. Tonight for us, we are preparing a book. It's a layman book, though. We are preparing a book of the whole theory put together in one book, and that should come out by the beginning of the year. So it should be there by the beginning of the year. We're working, William and Ines are working, and Cyprien are working on it feverishly. And so that should be awesome. It's going to be all in there, and it's going to be so much better than the course because it's going to be fluid. It's going to be the whole story. And so I'm really excited about that. And at the same time, we're getting ready the paper 2 and paper 3 of the series of 3 I promised, and that will be put into a technical book, just for you,
Yes.
and that will have all of the equations and all of the logic and all of the stuff, like very clear, very straightforward. And for the fluid dynamics of space-time and the correlation functions of these oscillations and all of the information, the forces, the masses, and all the constants in physics unified. All of the constants in physics unified, okay?
Nice.
So that will come out as well. It might be a little later. We'll see how we're doing. As I said, we're a small team doing a lot of things, But yeah, so that's on its way. And eventually that will lead to courses that will be online where we can dig into the papers and equations and the philosophy and all this in direct matter online.
Thank you so much. I truly thank you. You give us so much hope. Blessings from Venice Beach, California. And I
Thank you.
see you on September the 14th.
Sounds great. We'll see you
Forward to seeing
there. I look
Thank
forward to it. Bye-bye. Okay.
Let's jump to, before we jump back to a Zoom question, let's jump to one from the live.
Right.
Okay. When you look at all the tech that you are producing, how much of it has been done before but suppressed? So in your case, you're finally being able to bring it out in a public manner versus being blocked?
I would say all of it has been done before, because when you ask me that, I'm thinking the whole universe, and I'm sure it's been done many times on somewhere in the universe. And so, how much has been done here? I would say probably 99% of it. Throughout the ages, and I'm not just talking about our technical ages. There's lots of evidence that there was very advanced knowledge on this planet prior to, pre-cataclysmic times. Now this might be more controversial, but there's a lot of evidence of it. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I'm just doing physics. I'm not doing, stories, bedtime stories of the archaeologists that are telling you, oh yeah, 100,000 slaves pulling thousands of tons, and copper tools pulling thousands of tons in the desert. No, yeah. So basically, there is, I think all we're doing is reinventing the wheel, but it still needs inventing. It still needs quite a bit of work, and it's not an easy task in any way, shape, or form. So it's really, it's, as far as the physics go, I would say though that the physics is very much, some of, like, that physics was not on this,
It
has
seems
not
to
been
me
published.
that some of the inventors may have stumbled upon an invention that used the same concept, but without studying the physics, they can't take it further. A lot of them go on intuition, right? They might hit the right resonance, but can they take it further?
Right.
And I think that's the difference with what we're doing here,
Right.
is you understand the physics for the first time to take this concept further.
Yeah, well, the team on this.
And the team.
Yeah, and I, are writing the physics, and it's making a huge difference in our, so it's a complete view. It's not fragmented. And certainly the physics we're writing has not been written, although all of the physics we're writing in some ways, were already written. It's just it was in the wrong order, and we're putting it back in the correct order. So in some ways, other than the creativity of putting it in the right order, it was done before.
Very humble.
I'm standing on the shoulders of true giants. I just saw the patterns and went, wait, this is in the wrong place. It needs to go over there, and then the whole thing unblocks.
All right.
Okay, we've got
B
Ken.
from
Yeah.
Sonoma in California.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Nassim, it's been a long time since your initial lectures at the Redwood City Women's Club.
Oh my God. Yes.
That's where you and I first met.
Okay.
I still have your book, The Harmonic Sphere Flux Resonator. So
Awesome. Awesome.
It's been an amazing journey, just kind of watching everything that you've been doing and your partnership with Foster and what you were doing down in Santa Cruz and going to Hawaii and da-da-da-da-da. Not going to get into all that stuff. But
Wow, you really followed the whole journey, huh?
oh man, I met with you down in Santa Cruz somewhere where we were trying to collaborate a little bit, and because I
Yes.
was at the time I was brought in with Mark Cummings, and
Oh,
I don't know if
yes.
follow him or keep up with him at all, but and Dynamis and all of that stuff. And we kind of all had our heyday, and unfortunately the stuff that I was doing with him, that all kind of fell apart for a number of reasons, but you kind of
Yep.
continued on your own unique direction, which is just magnificent.
Thank
So,
you. Thank
I
you.
just Man, I wish I could like teleport myself on over there and you know help sweep your floors and, and just kind of back you up and whatever you need to do.
I
Believe me.
appreciate. Oh, we appreciate. We appreciate. We have a really good team. We have a dream team right now.
Me too.
I'm like, it's very solid, very amazing team. I gotta keep being able to add members to my team.
We could use more team members.
Yeah,
That
we
comes with more
really
funding.
do. We really do.
Makes
We
the
really-
point. The faster we can grow, I mean, we need the support financially so we can grow, so we can bring this all the faster, because we
Right.
should have more engineers than we do.
Right.
Actually.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yes, we should.
yeah.
We need to make this
We
happen
need
faster.
help.
So
For sure.
please go to the
Well,
invest page.
well, and I think that really kind of links into, I mean, outside of a gazillion technical questions I'm not going to bother getting into. The thing that I've been trying to go do with my own work in the last 10 years is help organizations become more coherent. And so, it's kind of bringing in all the wild hairs and trying to get the energy focused in one coherent direction so that success can emerge. Obviously the coherent brings out all sorts of emergent things. How do you go do it? How do you do it organizationally? And a lot of it is, I look at your community as probably being one of the most brilliant set of inspirational people I've ever really come across, because
It's amazing.
we're looking,
Huh?
we're
People are so
looking,
brilliant.
because we're looking at the fundamental things that emerge matter in life. And you can talk about money, you can talk about politics, you can talk about all the other stuff, but we're talking about the root thing here.
Right.
And so the big question that I have is how can I help you to focus the organization and focus this amazing pool of talent that you have that are watching you right now and follow all your stuff? Because we're, in a sense, kind of an amateur research team. And I want us to help you.
I
And
know.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. That's the issue. I first of all, like you're totally right. Like we have an amazing community, and we're trying to find ways to give tools to the community for the community to be able to help us. And it's not like we came up with the bonds. We came up with all kinds of things. But like the becoming members, all this. But this is financial. But they could be like study groups. They could be like people going out to like universities,
Testimonials
and,
from
testimonials. People like talking about the change. I mean, so many people say, like you said, it's like, dude, is there any other thing you would want to be talking and thinking about than this? I mean, it's so fundamental and important. I mean, like
It solves all problems for humanity. When you think of every issue out there, almost every one of them could be solved if we are successful in launching what we're
right,
working on.
and not because we're so important. I don't mean it in an ego way. I'm just meaning it like, wow, like when people start talking about the weather and stuff, and it's like, wow, like there's so many other things. And like, no, I mean, what I mean is that it's so critical, like, and people want to contribute and participate and all this. So maybe it would be helping us to like, have better communication between the dialogue that goes on in the community, like making blogs or making, discussions and maybe even addressing all, the criticism that they can be out there, and helping, can like, because we try to answer people, on Reddit and all this when they have confusing ideas about what I'm saying and all this, or the physics I'm writing. So like helping with that and like really becoming a cohesion force in the community. Like I'm racking my brain because I know that for you it must be so frustrating for you guys out there looking at me, like flailing.
When's it going to happen? When?
Yeah,
It's our most common question. When are we going to get the tech in the world?
Yeah, and people saying, like, how can I help? And me being like, well, I don't know, buy some bonds, buy some ARCs,
The financial is actually a massive part of it.
The financial part is really hard.
It's massive.
Because I could have so many things going, even like programs, never mind the tech, I could have so many things going but I can't afford to do it because it would take, like, already I swear to God, okay, I'm gonna say I swear to the universe because it's more accurate. Sarah works day in day out, like till like midnight most nights, like 7 o'clock in the morning most morning, weekends. Like,
I'm not the only one though. Our team runs marathons.
Right.
Like we squeeze every bit out of them. We make every penny count in this place and work ridiculous hours.
So I have all kinds of programs I want to start, and then they go, oh yeah, here comes Nassim with another program. So who's gonna do that one, right?
It's bandwidth. We're limited on our time bandwidth.
Yeah. So it really is like if maybe if you guys can like take the reins and say, hey, I'm gonna start a group, of like kindred souls that are interested in this subject, and start like publicizing it and like getting people interacting and talking and all this, and maybe I can show up once in a blue moon because like I do the hours that Sarah does too, and so on. But like if we can, like we have to make a lot of noise, Take my
first
paper
thought would
and
be
send it to universities,
Oh yeah, but I mean, my first thought is that if there was going to be a communication medium, like for instance, when you had your previous website and you had like a members forum where people could comment and all this kind of stuff, and they had little profiles so you could actually try to communicate with people in your local area, to me, that was the ultimate in terms of informal networking. So a system or a platform that's sponsored by you so that it's centralized to you, where we can all put in profiles, we all can be able to basically informally connect with one another, and we can have a constant dialogue. That'd be number one.
Right.
If you don't
that
want
is
to,
really good. I've got that on the Docker for the last year. I wanted it on our website, a place where community can come and discuss things, and like I could put material, and we publish really amazing articles. Like William and Ines are constantly, and Cyprien, and I write some. And I edit them all, in not all, but some of them, most of them. And, like they could be discussed, like we could like have all kinds of like interaction.
We kind of have this for our members. We do have the Discord discussion groups. We have the community meetings. We have the, ask questions to our scientists. So we already have Discord for this, for those that aren't already aware. And that's one of the benefits of joining the membership program, which is $20 a month.
Right. But I'd like that open to the public as well.
Absolutely. That would be the dream. I'm just saying right now that is one thing we have.
Yeah, even Telegram, yeah.
Put it on Telegram, because at least, the way I look at it is that if, let's say, this community is, I'm guessing, but let's say 5,000 people or maybe 10,000 people are here right now, that at some point you want to be able to say, I need to focus it down to, let's say, 50 or 100 really capable people that understand either science, physics, economics, whatever it is. Then you can kind of divide them up into tiger teams. So with that, you have to have a medium to be able to put that out, so you can, instead of having, a broadband communication like you're doing now, it'll be more focused where you can get into the meat of the real goals and the real obstacles. And then we can start pulling out the resources that maybe you're not 100% aware of that we
Right.
can then bring to the table.
Yeah,
And
you're
so,
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I was dreaming of like a place where like I could have moderators, like you said, like 100 people that are really solid, that understands and all this, the theory and all this, and like have the community be like able to like comment and ask questions and all this, and like have something really interactive. We were looking at it with a software. We couldn't identify exactly the right software. We were looking at a software that's being used by coders. Olivier, what was the software again? I can't remember. We were looking at different software to do this. I mean, we'll get it done, okay? We'll get it
We just
done.
have a small team, so be patient with us. We have all these dreams we would like to do. We have
But
so
if
much.
you have suggestions on how to do it, and like what would be something that oh yeah, HitHub. We were gonna use, or Cocal, which we write our physics on. But so we're looking at it. We've been looking at it. We just haven't had time to implement it. So maybe like if somebody out there wants to like, take that on and work with us to like get it done, we would be really, really grateful.
That'd be amazing. That help.
The first thing I would say is do a Telegram channel, because Telegram is effectively secure. You can publish files. You can have, interactive dialogue. I think that, the other platform I see a lot of people using is called Meetin. MEETN, which is basically private meeting chat. And so those two platforms could work out to be really good to just get a small tiger team, and all of a sudden you can put out, let's say, your top 10 projects, and then we can look at what's available. Because a lot of times saying, oh, I want to go raise my hand for it, yes, I do, but I also don't want to be buried or be getting it over my head. And so some combination of that stuff, and then somehow we link in, because I live in Northern California. I'd love to be able to start sponsoring small meetings of other people that know your work, but right now, where am I going to go? Craigslist? That doesn't work.
Exactly. We got to connect everybody. We got to, it has to happen.
It will happen. It will. We do need help with that.
Thank you so much,
thank you, Ken. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for the support.
Thank you.
It's been amazing to see you again. Thank you for hanging in there throughout the years.
Where else am I going to go?
Thank you.
Thank you. Right on, brother.
Before William brings up the next one, I'm just sorry, I'm looking at the side because I'm watching you in the live chat as well. And somebody made the comment, well, I guess it's about funding and Nassim needs billions. And I want to actually just take a moment to correct that statement, because what we're working on is far from billions. Our goal actually with the bond raise is 200 million, with the first tranche bringing us the huge milestone is only 30 million. This isn't a lot of money that we're talking about.
Right.
So a little bit does add up. You might say, oh, if I do even, bond sales start at 1,000 Swiss francs minimum. You might think, oh, that's nothing. But it does. It adds up. Everybody buying the minimum would incredibly add up, because these are not big budgets we're talking about. This isn't a huge $1 billion facility. These are not rare parts that are used to make this equipment.
Oh my God. Right now, like 200,000 would get me a few more engineers.
Yep.
I mean, like,
this isn't crazy money. Like if all of you listening, did a contribution somehow of a couple thousand, we would be looking golden.
I mean, we're barely able to keep the lights on. And so it's really important, like, that we move forward.
We're stressfully tight. To be blunt with you.
And Sarah and I and others have, like, everything into it. We are, like...
Self-invested.
Yeah, we're self-invested.
Time and self-invested, just to tell you where we're at. So every little bit helps. Every $20 membership helps. buying the tour tickets to LA or to your nearest city greatly helps. So
Right.
funding is key, and it's far, far from billion. So I just wanted to put that in perspective to let you know that every little bit has a massive impact.
Right.
All right, going back to the Zoom questions, I'm going to read the question while William brings up the person asking it. This is an interesting one, maybe a little touchy. How much do you folks interact or have connections with CERN and other European research agencies, such as the fusion centers?
Very little. I was invited at CERN to present my paper in 2012, actually in 2013, after the radius of the proton was confirmed that I predicted in my paper of the quantum gravity and the holographic mass. And that conference where I was invited to present my paper got in serious trouble for inviting me from the director of CERN, literally from the director of CERN. You know, memos came down saying that like people that involved me or that invited me would lose their capacity to function in the community of CERN if they insisted that I participate. So I was removed at the last minute. You know, I was all ready to go. I was pretty excited, and I had to cancel everything. So you know.
So not a lot, but let's bring light to the fusion centers, because you know in the media there's so much hope being given to humanity about fusion, and I think the record needs to be set straight on that.
Right, it's horrible. To finish on CERN, you know, there is physicists at CERN, and actually some of them worked with me that are actually pretty excited about some of the stuff I'm doing, but. As far as the fusion facilities go, the tokamaks and the laser facilities, you know, they keep promising fusion and clean energy for the planet, and they keep burning like megawatts of power in their device. They build them bigger and bigger. They don't have the correct physics. So you know, they're close, but not quite. And, you know, they're not successful because you can't do it with brute force. It's actually not a brute force thing. And you have to know what the proton is. You have to know what the nuclei is before you try to do anything with it. And either then break it, which they've succeeded at doing to produce atomic power, but which is dirty, you know, and so when you know, so tokamaks, they keep building them bigger and bigger. I mean, they cost billions and billions of dollars. I think it was 2 years ago or a year ago, I wrote an article about that one because I was so like outraged. Because there was a laser facility in California that succeeded in fusing a small pallet of material, and you know, the headlines all around the world read, you know, fusion device succeeds in getting more energy than they put in, and you know, I was blown away when I saw those headlines. I was so excited. And then there was you know, the head of DOE, Department of Energy in the US, went in front of Congress to announce that we had a new level of energy production on the planet, that it was going to save the world and all this. And I was like, wow, they got over unity with that method. It seemed strange because I couldn't see how that would happen. And then I, you know, got the paper, I looked at it, and I realized this is remarkable. This is remarkable. I realized that in their calculation to arrive at the answer in which they produce more energy than what they put in, they didn't include the power supply for the lasers. So so that would be like, I assure you that if an over unity inventor, did that, most likely he would go to jail. Like if he announced to the world that we have over unity, and that, but in his calculation, he didn't include that he had to plug the thing in the wall to make it work.
Got the input power.
The input power, the input power was not calculated in the output energy, in the efficiency, I think, and in this case, it was grossly much more that was going in than that was coming out.
Didn't get like 2% coming out or something?
Yeah, it was very low efficiency
Any independent
device.
investor claimed that they'd be in jail.
If you got an investment, and these guys got billions from Congress, shortly thereafter. Because they, to their own admission, are not trying to get energy device done. They were building a weapon, so it has nothing to do with it. And so with if an inventor or a laboratory, fudged the number that way, like didn't include the input power in and when and raised, I don't know, even if it was just like 10 million or 15 million, doing that, they would be liable, but somehow, so far, fusion, you have to reach the energy at the source of the material world, not the energy after not trying to break matter to get energy. You have to get matter to collaborate with you. It's called resonance. It's the key to all over unity technologies, the key to most of the technology from Tesla and so on. And so, yeah, I'm not going to get into details with that.
Give in mind, yeah, another way the wool's being pulled over the eyes.
I am sure I'm not making friends right now with the hot fusion guys, but
it's not time to play nice anymore. We need to be honest. We need to let people know what's really going on out there.
I mean, what can I say? It's not happening.
Nope. Okay, next question from one of our Zoom attendees. The last one didn't come up. Let's see if the next one comes up on stage. Can you talk more about the possible application on gravitation physics?
Somebody's saying yes, resonance. Yes, Nikola Tesla was on it. Yeah. Totally was on it. But, the guy got canceled. Just cancel culture has been there for a while. Let's just say it's not something new. It didn't come with the internet. Okay. Are we?
Actually, we just had a new question come up from the Zoom. Can you talk about the upcoming challenge when it comes to real application? What are the realistic next steps before extracting?
I thought we had somebody. Wait.
Oh, did somebody come up? I
Yeah.
thought they had left already.
What?
Nope. Are they off?
You can move on to the next
Let me go. Yeah, I think they were no longer available. So this next one.
Okay.
Can you talk more about the upcoming challenge when it comes to real application? What are the realistic next steps before extracting infinite amount of energy from the vacuum?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, they're basically asking, where are we at?
Well, I'm just going to say the challenges are not technical. Many people throughout the ages have succeeded. And it's not easy in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, it's just like, it's super easy. It's not easy in any way, shape, or form, especially if you're talking about usable power, we're talking like kilowatts, whatever. The proof of principle can get, is doable. And then, if we had, just a very small portion of the capacity, the intellectual capacity and the talent that's out there in the physics community today, if there was true, financial and academic support to examine these possibilities and move forward, I I think it would happen really fast. The biggest challenge is, to tell you absolutely honestly, the biggest challenge is actually, getting the financing in the right position with the right people, with people that are not, trying to how do you say, control the whole thing, and the capacity to get it out into the world in a safe manner. That's the biggest challenge, really.
Truly.
Yeah, for sure. Because the technical knowledge, the talent's there. The talent is
And you
totally
know how
there.
to get there. You know the next steps.
Yeah. Well, it's known how to get there. It's known, and it just takes a little bit of R&D, and it could happen really quickly. And it would change everything for humanity. It really would.
All right, we have some attendees with their hands raised. William, do you want to bring them up so they can ask their question?
I'm really glad we got this going so that you guys can ask questions directly. And, becoming member, that's one of the benefits you get.
Members and bondholders are the ones coming up on the screen.
Right. Hi.
Hi, I think I'm on. I'm Janine.
Yeah, you are.
I don't. Oh, here it is. There.
Oops.
Oops. I think she's hung up.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you are. Okay, we hear you.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, great.
And now we see you.
Now we see you. Hi.
Hi. So good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question, there's a very good chance I get to go to LA September 14th, and I was also there September 26th of 2016. Do you know that date? Do you know the Connected Universe film?
Oh, yes, yes, the opening, the red carpet event. Yeah.
Yeah, that was super awesome. So one of the things I was thinking, I was actually writing to double check the date. So it is September 14th, I think.
Right.
What I want to say is I want to make sure that that it's
September 14th in Los Angeles. Yeah, so
okay,
on the
so
website, you
that's
can actually buy tickets. The ticket site just went live today, so you can actually get on
Okay.
and buy tickets. Yep.
okay, super. Great. Well, I know you guys are working hard for that event. Here's a wild idea. If it were possible to show the film The Connected Universe, which is so good for lay people to get a starting place, whether adults or children. I've been following you since 2009, Nassim, and when I really started to be able to verbalize my understanding of your concepts, it was with that film. Before then, I
Okay.
understood it, but I couldn't verbalize it.
Yes.
So I was just thinking, you might get more family members, spouses, kids, etc., if they could come and not go to the technical, but go watch the film. Maybe you'd have 15, 20, 30 minutes for a little Q&A with them after. I just think it'd be a great way to expand the community and expand the connections also within families and friends and communities.
Right. Well, that's a really good idea.
That's a good idea.
I'm hoping we could try. I don't have the rights to that movie, although
It's
it's
just a matter of funding, though.
Well,
It's a matter of
Malcolm
funding.
might go for it. He'll come down and maybe he'll participate.
Yeah, it's a matter of funding, but basically I don't have those rights. I could see if it's possible. Ideally, what would happen is that people would see the movie before they came, right? And so
Right.
they could so we could do a campaign to see the movie, and then maybe we could do something about the tickets or with the movie or something. I don't know. But it's a great idea.
Family friendly, so less equation, something
Right.
all ages could enjoy.
Yeah.
I
Right.
love that idea. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and I've done I did a watch party online, but I had everybody go to the connecteduniversefilm.com and purchase their ticket, even though I own the film, because I wanted to make sure everything was copacetic.
Right.
So
I
easy
appreciate.
things like that. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just want to see more expansion and more connection, and I think that really helps people to get a sense of the accuracy of what you're doing and the common sense. When I took an astronomy class in college in the 70s, I went to the teacher and I said, well, I understand everything except special relativity. And he's like, you don't have the math. You're not going to get that. But I understand yours, even though I don't have the math, because it actually makes sense. It fits
Right.
reality. So yeah.
Right.
All right.
And,
Thank you
and,
so much.
and special relativity and general relativity are complex mathematically, but some of the concepts in special relativity, especially that are non-intuitive, like the twin paradox, and the mass dilation, or all kinds of weirdness, can be explained much more clearly when you have an understanding that matter and energy and movement in the universe are occurring in and on a background screen, is occurring. Now all of a sudden, like, all the things starts to fall into places, including quantum mechanics and the double slit experiment, and all this starts to make sense in a way that's like you don't have to dislocate your head. It's like it's actually mechanically sound, right?
Yes,
So
it makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank
so
you,
much.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Nice to meet you. We'll see you at the LA event.
See you there.
Sounds good. Take care. Bye.
Before we jump to the next question, we left out a major part of one way that people can support us and help themselves. These guys.
Yeah.
It reminded me because somebody commented and wanted to know what it was I had around my neck. And we have an example of it here, and also something there.
Some of the technology.
This is one of our companies called Arc Crystal. And this is actually a piece of technology. So let me, for those who aren't familiar, this is a crystal, a quartz crystal, that holds an oscillation and creates a field. Do you want to talk a little bit about the science behind Arc?
Yeah, so when I was working on tapping into the vacuum fluctuations early on in 1999, I had figured out that I could create a gradient in space-time that is a better gradient than two plates, like a Casimir effect. So if I told you, I want to create a gradient, let's say in a fluid, that, between, I want to create a depression in space, in the fluid or in the air. Would you go first to trying to do it with two plates? Probably not. What would you think? Okay, well, how can I make a gradient? Let's say I wanted to make a gradient in the atmosphere, like a change of density in the atmosphere, like to produce a energy dynamic. I would say, oh, well, maybe nature does it already. And then I'd eventually very quickly arrive to, wow, a hurricane or a tornado is a perfect gradient. So I figured out how to make a little bit of a tornado gradient, in the structure of space. And I realized that some of the material around my laboratory was changing its nature as a result of it, and that it had an impact on water. And so I started to try to figure out what impact it was having on water, what was going on. And at the time, there was not great work from, Gerard Pollack, or, on the fourth phase of water, or all these other things water memory, and that was done by Montagnier, or even, there's Nobel Prize winner Josephson, Brian Josephson, and others that have done great work on this. So I was kind of like trying to figure it out. Anyway, I realized if I cut the crystal in a certain way, and if I oriented the molecular structure of the crystal in a certain way, I could like get the crystal to like resonate with the structure of the vacuum in a certain way, and like I could maintain that oscillation in a certain way in the crystal, but I could only make a few crystals at a time. It was not commercially viable. So it took till 2017 before the industry of crystal cutting had the precision required and the capacity to cut the crystals in a way that I needed them cut and with the precision I needed. And so I was able to put that on the market. I still could only produce like 200 a month. And then like I started to be able to produce more. I found more people ready to tool for it and all this, and I increased, but then I moved. And then the move really changed the way I was producing and all this. So like now we're finally coming back up, ramping back up, and it's and it has an impact, on your well-being, and
I have one of my water bottles either. He's talking about water. So this is actually inside the water bottle. So we sell these on artcrystals.com as well. And it's going to structure the water.
Yeah, and they're very highly precisely cut. It takes 80 some different operation to make one. It's very complex. It's made out of titanium. There's all sorts of parts involved in it and all this. So it's a little bit, it's not that costly, but it has, a sizable price tag, because it's not just like a crystal, it's something
the amount
much
of parts,
more
the complexities
complex.
of producing these things, and the quality that goes into them. It is incredibly complex.
Right,
So,
and there's surprises about those crystals that are gonna come out eventually. But let's just say that one day those crystals in a little bit different configuration, in a little bit different way that are treated, will run your house, will run your car, will run your spaceship. It will run the world. Mm-hmm. So let's just say that like for now it's a way that you can help us and have a little piece of technology from our laboratories at home.
And it's one with funding too. We're going to be to take really far. That thing right there we call the tetrahelix, which is a helix of the crystals inside of it, and it hooks up to the water main in your house or to agriculture. And in lab studies, we have had tremendous results on crops, on plant growth is how we test these. Many times the control group is the germination rate, the growth rate, the production rate. They resist pathogens. Incredible results. We haven't put it on the market yet just because of confines with funding. So that's another thing. If we get funding, we can put this on the market.
Sorry to say, it always returns to that. We don't really have a choice. It's just the way it is. I'm so sorry. I don't want to sound like I'm just asking for money. I just want to make the difference I can make in this world, and I need that fuel. I just need it.
Just so we can move along faster for everyone. So I think they understand. Okay, shall we go to the next hand raise?
Oh, the website, I think. It's called...
I saw they put a note on it, artcrystals.com.
Artcrystals.com.
It's on the chat.
Artcrystals.com.
Hey, we have David joining us.
Hi, David.
Hi, David. You're on mute and video, so just activate those.
Oh, did we lose him? Oh no. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Nassim. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
Great meeting you. Yes, it's David here from London City in the UK.
Nice to meet you.
I'm part also of the humanities team. Actually, last week I was with Steve Farrell here in London.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, great guys. And we're doing an event in London, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah. So we will be there soon.
We will be there November 16th.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's be in touch and see if we can be of help one way or another. because my question actually is in regards of it seems that we are now into a transition, not only energy transition, but as a worldview, as you said earlier. And technology is going so fast on an exponential rate, but also, maybe we need to look at balance that with raising some consciousness. As you were talking earlier, it's not just about changing things out there, but maybe in our inner work as well. If people are raising that consciousness and doing a good use of the technology and science, then maybe we got a better chance, to make all of these new paradigm happen.
Right.
My question is in that regard, you always mention that, yes, thank you to your link to sacred geometry, ancient wisdom, and many other, let's say, non-conventional ways. It seems that now this is happening, and is humanity really ready? I think those are really good news if we are really at that level of consciousness. So I would love to know your view. For sure, I'm here in London whenever you're coming. I'm available to help in any way.
Well, humanity is, I believe, getting ready. I think this year is really critical. I think more and more people are kind of fed up with the controlling structures that are like with special interests. People are ready to have organizations at the helm of their countries that truly have their interest in mind instead of private interest. And so I think people are rising to make that happen. I really encourage people to really open the dialogue, but hear each other. Really open the dialogue. Really hear each other. You can have your opinions, absolutely. Just okay. Your opinions are your opinions, but open to maybe there's something different that you missed. Maybe and to really, and there's more and more people doing that. And it's encouraging. It's encouraging to see that there's more and more people awakening to a different the veil is coming off. Realizing, today I was listening to some people that are fairly famous talking about the food pyramid and how that was a scheme from the food industry and so on and all kinds of things and so to realize you can't just take everything as is given by media or by popular thoughts and so on, but to really examine profoundly, because if you don't do it for yourself, do it at least for your kids and your grandkids and the generations to come. You owe them that. You owe them to really examine if the way we're going is the best way. And I think and I think a lot of people are realizing no, it's not, and that there's been a control structure that's been put in place by special interests since early on, and we really need to break through. So it demands a self-examination of our beliefs, and that's not always easy to do.
I'm 100% with you. I got the privilege to be parenting 3 kids. The new generations, I think they're coming with a different chipset, hopefully the 9.0 chipset, and it's giving me a lot of hope. Because yes, maybe there is another way, you know, to spread the word, the vacuum word, like in the academics with graduates, postgraduates. I think that they will come back, you know, and if we pave the way properly, then for sure everything is going to be a very exciting and a new thriving paradigm. I reckon that we all will are willing to see.
Right. It's really critical that we have like a really open mind and question everything, because including us, you know, because it really is like, but in an open dialogue, constructive dialogue, you know, before you go and say, oh, this leader is evil and this person is evil and all this stuff, like, okay, how did they get there? Like, what happened? Oh, well, you know, we happen to have put nuke heads all around their country. Well, you know, if you did that to the US or to France or to any Western country, probably the country wouldn't react so well, right? Like, before you go and say, you know, before you go and make judgments, right, on what people are doing, like, let's you know, examine, like, you know, clearly what's going on there, and in a deeper way than just repeating what we've been told to repeat, and which is happening at all the levels, whether it's in like talking about the politics of the world or the financial structure of the world, or talking about physics. Like, people are continuously repeating things with not necessarily like actually deep thinking, and that so to stop, to re-examine, right, and to actually like truly like sense, you know, the deeper truth in what's going on. It takes some time and it takes some self-reflection. I'm being really direct. I never talk about these things usually, but I am, like I told you guys, I'm getting out of the closet on this one. You know, I'm ready. Like, let's go.
It's time. We only have so long. Talking about timing, it's now.
It's now. Yeah, it's now or never.
And it will not take long to bring this technology to the world either. We're talking about future generations, but we're talking about a handful of years to make this happen.
Right.
If we have the proper
yeah,
funding.
It has to happen. It has to happen. And I assure you that the suffering that is in this world today is absolutely unnecessary. Like the thousands of children that are dying is absolutely unnecessary. That this completely, we could have a world that is absolutely harmonious, and it wouldn't be that hard to get there.
It's a manufactured scarcity that we're looking on this planet. I mean, we have
yeah,
the tools to bring
manufactured.
abundance.
It's manufactured. I guarantee you that most of the leaders that are out there want this, you know, this harmony of society around the world, but they're confined because they are driven by other interests that are not necessarily the interest of the people of the earth.
Right. But there's more people of this earth than them. So if we can all open our eyes, look past the propaganda machines.
And I want to make clear, these, if some people out there are confused, these other interests are not coming from another planet. They are right from the reptilian brain of the humans. You know, they are not influenced from another planet. So just so we're clear, just because there might be some confusion out there, you know, it's financial interest of the earth. Yeah. Okay.
Deep feeling of gratitude. Yes. Keep up the good work, and let's play as a team. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate very much. Okay, I think we've been at it for 2 hours.
We're at 117 minutes according to our live stream.
All
so
right.
we probably
one more.
Let's do one last question and then wrap it up. All right, William, you want to take? Does anybody else have?
I like this one. The light will win.
No, okay. I think we're.
I think it was the light has won.
The light has won. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh, yeah, somebody just made a comment about Canadians, the bonds. Yeah, Canada is another one. You can buy the bonds if you're accredited, but again, there's that hurdle because of it is a security and we are in private placement. We did look at doing public where everybody wouldn't have to be accredited, but it's actually so restricted to do that. And so I'm going back to talking about the bonds again because I saw somebody just had a question about participating in that. And unfortunately, it's too difficult to make a public placement, so we do have to keep it private, which does make it more restrictive to just accredited investors in the U.S. and Canada.
Unfortunately. It's been a really long journey. I mean, we could.
Yeah, the email is participate@spacefed.com. Somebody's asking the question. So if you have questions, if you qualify about your jurisdiction, if it's okay to participate, yes, email them and the team will help you out with your questions.
Yeah, they've been really responsive. But as well, it's like, again, if we had the resources, if we had the support and all this,
that's
we
truly
could
the
eventually,
biggest hurdle. And people say, aren't there investors? She didn't have investor team. There are, but come forward. We hear talk. Everybody wants to introduce us to somebody.
Right.
I have so many irons in the fire right now. I've talked to hundreds of people that would like to invest. Okay then, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here. Put your
Go
money
and
where your
buy a
mouth
bond for 100,000 and then we'll talk, right?
Right,
Like, if you're serious about wanting to invest, okay, like show us that you will put your money where your mouth is.
We have the tool for you. We have the instrument to do it. If you're not happy with that instrument, email us, participate@spacefed.com.
Right.
We can
talk. We can do this. But if we're talking, please don't waste our time. We don't have much time to waste. So it's got to be real. It's got to be, something that's consequent for us. And it's got to come from the right place, meaning we will not take investments from people that just want to cash in on the
mass riches that's going to come from this kind of energy.
Right.
It's not about that. It's coming from here. It's like Nassim is bringing 35 years of research and studies. We need people to bring the money. Meet us halfway so we can help humanity together.
It's about humanity, and it's about the transformation of humanity, and and the result will be trillions of dollars of revenue. That's not the issue. The issue is we got to get past the finish line. And the finish line is not the tech. The finish line is the tech in the world, right? And the world, and the people in the world being able to expand themselves to that possibility of living in an infinite energy world. That has to happen. It's critical.
Yep, that lands here. The abundance that we can have if we just make this happen, which we can. We have the keys to do it.
Right. So I love you all. And until next time, I hope the vacuum is with you. I'm sure it is. And
with all of us.
All of us. And please stay in touch. Please continue to support us any way you can. And please be understanding of the difficulties we may have. Our website goes down every few days, or things go sideways.
Be patient with us.
Please be patient with us. If the sound doesn't work in one of our lives or whatever, we're doing the best we can. And we love you all, and together we will transform this world. So one soul at a time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.